Hi, my name is Elissa Carroll. I'm 31 years old and I live in San Diego, California with my spouse and life partner Eric. I'm here today because I wanted to share my life story with you. It's a story about chronic illness, childhood abuse, and also the freedom that you can find when there is someone who can treat all of you. Originally, I only planned on sharing this with my personal friends and my family. But as I worked on it, I realized that I didn't want to just share it with them. I wanted to share it instead with as many people as could possibly benefit from it. Because there are many of us who exist in this way. I decided the easiest way to do this would be to read to you the letter that I wrote to my family. Um, and as you listen, picture people you know. Think about this yourself. Does it resonate? Does it apply to your own life? Are there people you know who need to hear about what I'm going to talk about? You may have noticed that my speech is a little bit slowed, not quite smooth. I deal with a lot of chronic fatigue and illnesses, which of course I'll talk about, but I'm really tired. And it does impact the way I speak. So please bear with me as I read this. Okay, I'll open my computer and read it to you now. Dear friends and family, my husband Eric and I are writing to you because we sincerely need financial help. I am chronically ill to the point where I cannot work and can barely walk or even function. While I have finally found a doctor who specializes in my disease and can provide the treatment I need to become well again, our insurance won't cover the treatment and it is significantly more than we can currently afford. We have already spent around $50,000, which is the majority of our savings, and we still have a long way to go. My treatment plan will last around 2 years, and between the monthly cost of medication, which is around $4,600 a month, and the various treatments during that time, which we think will be about $67,000, we are hoping to raise a total of $178,000. It is nerve-wracking to open up and share about my health. Many of you know me personally as kind, physically active, intelligent, and emotionally involved. As someone who has always wanted to find ways to support others and who truly, deeply cares about leaving the world a richer place through their life. I yearn to be able to be that person, free to be, free to do, free to live and contribute. I envision and imagine a day when I am free of pain, when my muscles, skin, bones, and joints don't always hurt, where I can walk freely again or even attain my goal of doing off-trail marathons. I imagine myself being able to contribute to scientific research that changes the lives of more people than I will ever meet for the better. I imagine being able to share my story of abuse, disease, and healing with whoever wants or needs to hear it so that they can find hope and can continue to move ever forward in their lives. I have so many dreams and goals that I wish to accomplish, and I do truly believe that I will attain them. I just need support to do so. Diagnoses. I was diagnosed with mast cell activation syndrome, or MCAS, and have a host of other diagnoses including heavy metal toxicity, neural inflammation, low mitochondria count, and severe irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS. This has left me extremely fatigued and in constant pain. I am frequently nauseous and dizzy and deal with vertigo. Even light movement, like walking to the mailbox, worsens all of these symptoms, often for days at a time. My diet is severely restricted and there is nothing I can eat without painful cramping and distension. I have anxiety and PTSD. This list goes on. While I have dealt with various variations of these symptoms since I was 17, my health has deeply declined within the last 2 years. After visiting many doctors who had no idea what was going on, I found a doctor who specializes in both PTSD and chronic inflammatory disorders. None of my symptoms were surprising to him. All my different health issues stem from my traumatic childhood. I was sexually, verbally, physically, and emotionally abused by my grandfather David from the time I was 6 years old until I moved away to college. Through specialized brain scans and MRIs, we were able to determine that my brain developed in a constant state of fight or flight, making me incapable of entering a state where I relax, digest, and rest. This has led to my body being in a constant state of inflammation and stress for decades, which is the root cause of my current health crises. A system under constant strain weakens, breaks down, and eventually only knows how to operate in a faulty state. Treatment. The good news is that my condition is almost entirely reversible. With the correct treatment, I should be able to be pain-free and have very reduced symptoms within a year, and be back to close to normal within 2 years. I feel extremely fortunate that this is the case and that I can become healthy for the first time in my adult life. However, treatment will be very intense and expensive, especially for the next year. My treatment is broken down into 4 main stages, and I am currently in the first 2 stages. The first and most important stage is retraining my brain so it is no longer in permanent fight or flight mode. I am doing daily cognitive therapy to rewire my brain so it can relax and allow my body to recuperate. The second stage targets MCAS and IBS, both of which cause most of my pain and reactivity. I'm taking about a dozen different medications to prevent my body from being constantly inflamed and killing off gut pathogens that are inhibiting my ability to digest foods. Much of our monthly costs come from these medications. The third stage involves replenishing the nutrients my body is lacking from being unable to digest foods. This consists of me taking many supplements and going for in-person IV treatments. Most of the remaining monthly cost comes from this. Finally, once my body is less inflamed and more nourished, we will support my immune system clearing out heavy metals and other toxins that have accumulated. Throughout all stages, I will need various specialized procedures, such as IV treatments, dental work, cervical spine work, and additional testing to verify the efficacy of the treatments. Costs. Our main goal is to raise support for the monthly medication fee of $4,616 for 1 to 2 years. This will amount to around $111,000 after 2 years. We also need support for the additional testing and specialized procedures, and we estimate that those will be about $67,000 over the next 1.5 years. Altogether, if we are able to raise $178,000, we know that we will be able to cover my medical fees over the next 2 years. After 2 years, we expect the monthly medication costs to drop significantly and for me to be able to work again, which will allow us to cover any further costs on our own. Closing remarks. To my dearest friends and family, the process of writing this has been incredibly freeing. The memories of much of my abuse surfaced just in the last 5 years after my grandfather David passed away. In order to keep me sane while growing up, my brain lived 2 separate realities. One in which my grandfather loved me, and my family and I were safe and healthy. One in which I was terribly, horribly abused. My brain is still protecting me, and as a consequence, I still don't have access to the majority of my childhood memories. The freedom I talk about is the freedom to have a real relationship with you. I have been absent from the lives of most of my family members and childhood friends over the last 1.5 decades. That's primarily because it's almost impossible to imagine meeting with people who would want to reminisce about my childhood. I simply don't remember the stories that they share. And my brain, which has protected me by forgetting and by refusing to let others see how much I am suffering, gets stressed and scared when I talk about the past. After visiting with family, I usually have new traumatic memories that surface. So I've avoided almost all of you. Additionally, once I started to remember what happened, I didn't know how to interact with people who thought they knew me but didn't know about my abuse and my chronic health issues. Both are such large parts of my life and have made me the person I am today. Knowing that you know frees me to have an honest relationship with you. It frees me to feel seen and heard without having to think about how to explain this to you or to share over and over again with people who will be devastated by what I have to say. I want you to know that I understand this will be a source of grief for many of you. Please know that it is okay to grieve. Please know that it is okay to remember David and me as you always have, while also recognizing that David was a very sick individual who never received the help that he needed in his life. If you would like to talk about any of this, please reach out to me as opposed to my parents, Rick and Gretchen. They are still dealing with their own acceptance and processing of this reality. Weighing on my heart is the need to share that abuse is not uncommon. What is uncommon is talking about it. When left unseen and unspoken, it can fester into innumerable health and relationship problems. If you have experienced abuse of any kind in your life, please know when you read this that you are not alone. If you want or need to, please reach out and know that I would hear your story. One of the most important things I have learned is that our brains are capable of learning new patterns. If you suffer from chronic physical and mental health ailments, know that you can retrain your brain to help it overcome any cycle that it might be stuck in. We don't have to remain unwell. Donate and contact. If you are financially able to contribute any amount, it would make a world of difference to Eric and me. We truly cannot do this on our own. And whether or not you can donate, the best way for us to reach our goal is for you to share this with your own family and friends. You never know who this might reach that needs to hear about the profound effects mental trauma can have on their physical health, that they aren't alone, and that there are tools out there to heal. Eric and I sincerely thank you. Thanks for your time listening to all of that. I hope that it gave you a good idea of some of the issues that I'm dealing with. If you have any questions about any of the financials behind this, any of the history behind this, anything about my well-being, anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me. I've shared my email at the bottom of the text section, but it's normalizemcast@gmail.com. Thank you.